Hey, what's going on, guys? Heads here from Infinity Loops, and today we have AstroRC's CarbonFly 80, the tiny indoor Cinewhoop in analog. If we pop on over to AstroRC's website, we can see that they are marketing this as a tiny indoor Cinewhoop. So we will be treating this review as such, not too heavy on the freestyle. We'll do a little bit, but nothing too crazy. Let's go ahead and start off though at the most important part, the thing we all care about, and that is how much is this gonna cost? In this part, kind of surprised me a little bit. I guess I was happy to see this. The price point's actually very low. It's $106, I believe, for the analog version. And that's analog, VTX, camera, ELRS. I mean, it's bind and fly, it's ready to go. And then it's also $202, I believe, for the DJI 04 Lite version, which also comes with the ELRS ready to fly. So pretty competitive price, I would say. They also on their website have it listed as being able to fit the Walksnail 1S V3, but they don't have a bind and fly version with that. They just mentions that it can fit it. What we're looking at here is a straight body down the middle, and then there's the two pieces of carbon that are mounted at an angle. Those create some prop protection all the way around without having to build really tall ducts to make up for the fact that it has to kind of go down to cover some more area. Normally it would just be a thicker duct all the way around. Although I do notice there is like a bit of a vulnerable spot, it seems like, right in the middle on the underside, to be able to smack a propeller on either side. It just kind of depends on what you hit and how you hit it. At the tips of those ducts, you will see tiny little TPU landing feet. At the backside of the carbon, in between those two angled ducts, you will see an XT30 connector that is hard mounted to the frame, so you don't have to worry about a pigtail flopping around back there. I really like the design of the battery mount for this, just overall. You kind of tuck the battery down below the ducts. In general, it kind of sits in this little crevice, and then the XT30 plugging in the backside to a hard-mounted plug is really nice. The cap is direct soldered to that and taped down, which is also very nicely done. And then from that, it goes to a beeper, which is cool. It goes to like the breadboard of the beeper, and then it goes from that into the flight controller. So it's kind of got like a little piggyback there with the beeper in the middle, the XT30, your cap, everything's nice and neatly organized just in the back tail section of the drone. It's very cool. I like the design a lot. Speaking of that flight controller, it is a JHE MCU F411. It's a 12 amp ESCs on that. So we are going to be running strictly 2S on this build. It also has a built-in 400 milliwatt max VTX. Even though the JHE MCU F411 offers motor plugs on the flight controller, they have chosen not to use those and direct solder on the other side of the flight controller, and those motors are unidentified. They are no markings as far as I can see on the actual motor, but going onto their website and just going off of that information, being that it is 2S, I think it's accurate. They are 1102 14,000 kV motors, and sitting underneath those motors, because this is a classic pusher style setup to the Cinewhoop, we have some 40 millimeter tri-blade HQ propellers. Now, although those motors are direct soldered, we do have a pigtail for our camera that runs at a breaking point. There's a pigtail that comes off of the flight controller as opposed to a plug on the flight controller. You have an actual pigtail that has a plug on the end, so you do have some wiggle room there if you ever wanted to swap the camera out in the future. And that camera is the very outdated, but I guess it'll do, RunCam Nano 2. The camera itself is mounted on a floating platform like we would normally see in our up-to-date Cinewhoops we see these days. Seeing a matte black motor with a matte black painted carbon frame with the black TPU and it's all just murdered out. It looked really cool, and then there's little accents of orange on the motors. It all looked really cool, and then you see this aluminum up front that's got holes drilled in it, and like the aluminum's ripped, you know, because they just bent it up, so you can see like little micro tears in it. And it just kind of like took away from the aesthetic of it. I'm not really sure how you solve that issue. I'm sure it's way more cost effective to mill them out flat and drill and bend them up as opposed to like cutting them out of a cube of aluminum or something. It just doesn't look good, and everything else about the drone is just very, I don't know, there's just something very futuristic and kind of like stealthy looking about it, just that it's all matte black. So to just see these rough aluminum holes and the bends and the rip and it just doesn't look great, but it works fine. no issue there. Just the way that it looks, it just kind of, I don't know, just kind of ruined it for me. The battery they recommend is a 3 to 450 milliamp 2S. They say with a 300 to 450 milliamp 2S battery, you should be expecting around 3 to 4 minute long flights. I believe I got around 3.5 to 4 minute flights with the 450s, and also 4 minutes with the 550s. So if you were interested in using those batteries, they totally work fine. I use some of the Pyrodrone, I think they're called Hyper Juice something or others. I'll put a picture of what they look like up here. Again, like I mentioned earlier, the JHE MCU does have a Express LRS unit on board, and the antenna for your Express LRS and for your VTX go down the sides of the carbon. And again, those are taped onto the middle piece of the duct where the ductwork comes together in the center of the carbon. They are very well protected. I have not been able to get anything to come loose or strike it, and we did some striking. Much like those antennas, everything else around the build is very well secured. The tape was a little loose when I got it, but after kind of just folding it back over and pressing it down really well, I've been flying this for a week now, and I have not had any issues with any of the wires coming loose, nothing getting caught in propellers. I mean, nothing even out of place. It's really held together very well. Words, words, words. Anyways, it's time to fly. Let's go ahead and get started on those. We're going to start with some outdoor flights, then we'll see a little bit of indoor flights, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about our pros and our cons. So as you can see, a bit lackluster, but again, no points against them in a freestyle setting. Not what they are advertising this for. It is being advertised as a indoor cinematic Cinewhoop, whatever you want to call it. So we will treat it as such. And I thought, well, hey, freak accident, let's say, flying indoors, things happen. You run full speed into a piece of drywall. It's a scenario that's possible. It's plausible. I don't want to go breaking this thing just yet. So let's see what you guys think. So I asked chat on stream.
Well, the question is, do we science wall the CarbonFly 80? Do we run it into the science wall to see if it'll break?
I'm not answering till I've been read my
There are
rights.
2 answers. Smash, smash, smash. Like the surfer guy who smashed the guy's head in with a hammer. Or save it for Christmas and give it away to someone. I'll let you guys vote. So far, it's 100% for smash it. I don't think that's going to get reversed.
Smashy.
So, fair enough.
The people have spoken. Nothing broken yet. Everything is actually holding together surprisingly well. Like, I am shocked at how well this is holding together still. All right, back at it. I heard something fly off. Okay, so the only damage so far, minus the camera moving a lot, is that little bite taken out of that propeller right there on the top. That's it. The whole prop broke off, but the hub is still there. I've never seen that happen before. It sheared all of the blades off and just left the hub. Oh, camera angle's a little flat now. Oh. Holy. Oh crap. I've exploded the last propeller, pieces of it, at least two blades off of the hub. So we are propellerless now, unfortunately. So that will have to conclude the crash testing. I do want to show you real quick just where the damage was on here. If you look right in here, you can see it kind of split apart there in the middle. All that plastic on the inside there is all broken apart now. So it held together still. It would still fly, but this is a little compromised. Then the camera went blurry, so I'd say that's probably the death of it. But not too bad. Way more sturdy than I thought it would be. Let's start at the pros. It is very nimble. Even though it's advertised as an indoor Cinewhoop, and it's not really meant to be very nimble, just kind of fly straight, it is. It is still pretty nimble. And now it's not the best freestyle thing in the world, so don't think that. But you can do a little bit with it. When you get upside down, it gets a little hairy. It's not too happy being upside down for too long. But everything else seemed to be okay. Power loops, matty flips, trippy spins. I mean, you could get a little wild with it. Another thing I would add into the pro column is that it is unique. Even though it's a bit odd looking, it is unique in its design, and I have to give it points for creativity. The build quality, overall, very impressed with the durability of it. The durability testing we've had lately, these quads are getting very strong. And I love to see that. That's great. I've actually never put that many dents in a science wall ever with a quad before. So kudos to AstroRC. They've really built a solid quad with that. But outside of the durability of it, it also, again, the attention to detail. The XT30 hard mounted with the cap taped to it, to a buzzer, cleanly, short wires, everything soldered nicely and just tucked away cleanly. The little TPU bits and bobs that they have added to it to kind of help keep everything organized, and the little bits of fabric tape all over it. Just overall, I think the attention to detail is definitely present. Another pro I would add is that it had great flight time, surprisingly. Flying it kind of aggressively outdoors in the wind, I mean, the ducting on it isn't really ducting at all, is it? It's just kind of flat pieces of carbon. So it moves through the air pretty smooth. There's not a whole lot of resistance if it is kind of windy outside. So outdoor flights, 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes on a 550 or a 450, that's great to me, especially in the wind with a chunker like this thing. It's, again, it's not meant to be very nimble, but it is. Although again, I don't think that the design is my favorite looking. As far as functionality, the prop protection actually worked really well. I was surprised how well that worked. I was expecting those to break loose way earlier, or at least break, snap, something. But the way that they're built, I mean, they can really take a beating. I know I mentioned earlier in the video, but I'll put it in the pro categories, that I do really love the way that they have done the battery mounting on this. I think that the XT30 being hard mounted, and then the sled kind of section in the back of it where the battery fits, it keeps everything nice and flat. There's no battery hump on the top or bottom like we would normally see with a drone. It's kind of nice and tucked away. The final pro I'd like to mention is the price point. Even though I'm not really sure who wants a analog Cinewhoop, or what you would be able to do at least with this one. I know my other analog Cinewhoops at least have some room or some wiggle room in the powertrain to be able to add action cameras to it. I couldn't really tell what they were going for with the analog version. DJI 04 Lite version, I get, totally. Analog version, a little confused about, which brings us to our cons. We'll start the cons list with the first one I just mentioned, which is I don't really know who the analog version is for. I get the DJI 04 Lite version, $202. That's great. I think that's awesome. Next con I would mention is that the Runcam Nano 2 is pretty outdated. If it's going to be an analog Cinewhoop, if that's our only option is analog here, maybe splurge a little bit on using a nicer camera, or maybe a more up-to-date one. The TPU prints, although they are helpful and all the little wire organizer parts are pretty well printed, the landing feet were kind of rough. I'm not sure if it's the print design or the printer settings or whatever, probably printer settings, but it just doesn't look great. You know, for a final product, it looks a little rough. There's a bit of a QC issue that I noticed on mine at least, and this may have just been a fluke with mine, or maybe something weird happened, or maybe this is a review version they sent me and it's not like a production. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is it looks like a production version, so I'm assuming it is. The backside of the under pad, there's like a pad, a landing pad on the bottom. And at the backside of the flight controller, the back flight controller screw, I'll put a picture here, it's way easier than me trying to explain its location. It's melted a little bit. I'm not sure if that was a soldering issue or a last minute something or other, something bumped it, or it's not a huge deal. It doesn't really mess with anything. It is just, I would consider that a QC issue, the TPU prints being a little scraggly and the melted TPU landing thing pad on the back. I would put a little dash for QC issues next to those. But overall, I do applaud their creativity, and I am excited to see what they come up with next in the future. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. What about you? What do you think? Was there something I'm missing about the analog Cinewhoop scene that I haven't heard of yet? Would you pick one of these up for $202 with the DJI 04 Lite on board? Any changes you'd want to see in the future? What do you think about that durability test? Questions, comments, all of your thoughts, leave them down below in the comment section. I do appreciate your time. Thank you very much to AstroRC for reaching out and sending us a version of the CarbonFly 80 and giving us a chance to fly it, try it, and destroy it. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it informative. I'll leave links to all of AstroRC stuff down below, at least the CarbonFly and their website. I'm not sure if there'll be affiliate links. I don't think so, but I'll leave a note down below if it is. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in the next one.
Squirt.